companies in the Super Hornet programs.
Yes.
And would all the 4 companies would be ready to transfer the technologies for manufacture in India?
The answer is yes. Not only are the 4 companies that you see here, but in the case of the Super Hornet, there are actually 1,900 companies that contribute to the Super Hornet. The 4 that you see here are collectively known as the Hornet Industry Team. They are the largest, if you will, of the companies in terms of aspects of the Super Hornet. But the short answer to your question very definitely is yes. As Chris was alluding to, we fully intend for the Super Hornet to be produced here in India. And in fact, our plan is that the first 18 aircraft will be built in St. Louis of the 126 aircraft. Starting with aircraft number 19 on through however many aircraft the Indian Air Force chooses to procure. Starting with aircraft number 19, all aircraft will be produced here in India. There is transfer of technology clearly associated with that production. We'll start out with large kits. We'll be building kits, for example, in the United States. Northrop Grumman, for example, today in the Los Angeles area builds what we refer to as the center aft portion of the fuselage structure. In lieu of sending that center aft fuselage to St. Louis, for example, where we would typically final assemble and check out and fly the aircraft, Northrop Grumman instead will be sending that portion of the aircraft to Bangalore, where it will be made up of the wings that are built by Boeing in St. Louis, and the forward fuselage, the radar, and the like. Incrementally, over those remaining 108 aircraft, we will continue to transfer more and more technology to India, such that not only will they be assembling parts that may be built in the U.S., or in fact, some parts are already being built today here in India. There are parts of the Super Hornet that are going on board the United States Navy's Super Hornet that are being built today as we speak at HAL. So over those remaining 108 aircraft, or however many more the Indian Air Force chooses to buy, we will incrementally transfer more and more technology such that they being HAL and many, many other Indian companies, not only can help assemble the aircraft, but they will actually be producing the parts.
That's a great question. So I think the defense procurement policy over the years has been evolving. I think the industry bodies have been giving their inputs based on how the changes have been happening in terms of the requirements and the needs. But I think it's an evolving policy. I think very thorough and deliberate discussions have happened within the government, between government and industry, and it's progressing rather well. I think the changes over time will serve both industry well as the government and its ambitions and its national industrial policy on 3 or 4 aspects the way we see it, and we're there to support it, whether it's for high-end defense jobs, whether it's for getting the best manufacturing and technological processes in place in country, and to support the indigenous development of...
I think the question was asked, what is the current state of the Brazil competition? I think as many are aware, about this time last year, Brazil down-selected from the original 6 aircraft. At that time, 3 aircraft were eliminated from the competition. Those 3 aircraft being the F-16, the Sukhoi, and the Eurofighter, which left the Super Hornet, the Gripen NG, and the Rafale as the 3 remaining aircraft. I think you've probably seen in the press over the last several months or so that the Brazilian government is in the final stages of making its final selection. I would anticipate that certainly before the end of this year, Brazil will make their final announcement as to which aircraft they intend to go forward with.
My question was more specifically on reports that the French aircraft has won the competition.
I can tell you that we also saw with great interest those reports, but at the same time, less than 24 hours after those reports hit the press, the Brazilian Ministry of Defense, as well as the President's office, indicated that those reports were unfounded. And in fact, I can tell you that the competition is very much alive and well.
Yeah, my question is to Mr. Chadwick. Mr. Chadwick, you are facing a very interesting competition where you are not only facing competition from outside, you are facing competition from within. And and F-16 are in freight. Have you ever been both aircraft have been in same race ever? And what is the past record? And secondly, both of you are having the same political leverage, F-16, F-18. How confident you are that you will be able to beat F-16?
Well, in fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the F-16 was in the Brazil competition, and they were down selected out. So I would say that I'm very confident that the F-18 can hold its own against the F-16 in any competition. What you've got with the F-16 is you've got a production line that is near the end, that is not procured by the United States Air Force any longer. It has some international sales. What you have with the FA-18 is you have a program that is at the beginning of its life with the United States Navy, with the Australian Air Force. You've got a funded roadmap of technology insertion as far out as the Navy can plan. And as you saw on the charts earlier, you've got a plan in place to fly that airplane well beyond 2035, 2040, and continue to give it the right kind of capability for the men and women in harm's way in the 21st century warfighting environment. So I have no issue at all in competing against Lockheed Martin, whether it's the F-16 or the F-35.
F-16, and I'll be honest with you, for competitive reasons, I'd rather not talk about the specific cost or price of an F-18. But as Chris did allude to, with the production rates that we currently enjoy on the Super Hornet, and certainly intend to enjoy for many years to come, I think you're seeing a significant closure between what used to be a price penalty associated with that second engine, for example. But keeping in mind, if you save one airplane because you had that second engine, that price difference really becomes narrower when you start looking at the overall life cycle cost of an airplane. You save one airplane, you're saving many, many, many tens of millions of dollars because of that darn bird that decided to fly down your inlet.
How would you like to look at your competition from Europe, Eurofighter and Rafale? And the two programs, which otherwise is believed to be and claimed to be half generation or one generation ahead. What strength and what edge do you propose to India?
Let's see, let me start with your premise. I don't know what a Generation 4, 4.5, or 5 aircraft is because they were always conveniently redefined by whoever it is that tries to characterize themselves as such. So, to your second part of your question, how do we think we compare with the Eurofighter versus the Rafale? The Eurofighter, again, designed originally as an air intercept fighter. The degree by which you can take an air intercept fighter and evolve it into a true multi-role aircraft, I'll let the Indian Air Force decide whether or not that's a practical evolution. I think you can read for yourself what the current statuses of the Tranche 3 version of the Eurofighter, which is really their air-to-ground capable variant. It's not going very far, very fast. The Rafale, built by Dassault of France. Every aircraft has its pluses and minuses. The Rafale, for whatever reason, has failed in every international competition it's ever competed in. Why? I guess I'd recommend you ask all those countries that it's been unsuccessful in competing against. So I look forward to competing against any European country, company, or even our friends up north in the McLean factory. So.
Thank you.